Tea time. Welcome everybody, Souldin of the Grin brothers here, and it's time for another episode of Tea Time. Now then, for today's tea time, I first will wish you all a happy Mother's Day, even though when this actually uploads, it more than likely won't be Mother's Day. But the day I'm recording it is Mother's Day. And the day I'm recording this tea time is kind of funny because it's a little bit, both being a late video for Mother's Day in terms of when it gets uploaded, it's also late for the subject matter that it's going to cover. And I'll go into that in a little bit. Likewise, for today's tea, I do not have it with me. Today's tea that I will be talking about is actually one I had elsewhere over the weekend. And I've basically decided, whilst there, I ended up jotting down some notes on the spare envelope I just happened to have in my pocket. And so I've decided to, just relay the information of my time trying out the tea that I had whilst I was out, because it was one I didn't have before. And that was apple and elderflower. So I'll be talking about that later on in the tea time, but obviously I can't sort of try it for the first time here, because, well, I've obviously already tried it when I was out, and I don't actually own the tea itself. It was just one I ended up having in the cafe that I was in. So then, today's tea time is regarding just a sort of basic sort of summary of the Nintendo Direct of March 2018 that we just had. And this tea time is a tad late due to the fact that I've had, aside from being incredibly busy at work, because like the sort of job site is going towards its end, and so it's all busy, that sort of thing. But along with that, I also had a ton of ulcers in my mouth, and that made it hard to talk. So finally they've eased up. I've got one that's still a little bit annoying, but they've eased up now, so I can actually talk and do a tea time like this now. But I actually ended up recording my thoughts on the Nintendo Direct whilst I was watching it on Tumblr, doing a little just a bullet point, neat, and stuff like that. And I'll provide a link below. Maybe include a few comments of within the video itself if I have time. In any case, for today's tea time, as I said, it's covering the Nintendo Direct, but rather than doing a summary of it, because I've already summarised some of my thoughts on Tumblr, and I feel it's a bit too late now, I've instead decided to do a sort of top 6 for it. Not a very hard set top 6, but a top 6 favourite things from this recent Nintendo Direct. So then, as I said, it's not a hard set one, so I'm not going to bother throwing up the numbers and such. Again, I'm really busy at the moment. Though hopefully after this week I will have a lot more free time to spare to sort of edit some videos and all that sort of thing. Anyway, let's get on with it then. So, my 6th favourite thing shown off in this Nintendo Direct was the Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy. And I say that despite how I don't plan to get Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy on the Nintendo Switch. Why? Because I feel it's going against some sort of unwritten cosmic law, like it would feel very wrong to be playing Crash Bandicoot on the Nintendo Switch. But on the other hand, Crash Bandicoot is on the Nintendo Switch, which is amazing, astounding. And, they're really great games, and I would love to play them, but if we do end up getting it, which we are considering, because a friend of my brother's wants to do a Grin Brothers with others with us with Crash Bandicoot, we'll probably get it on the PS4. It's what he is most used to in terms of the playstyle. And it's Crash. It belongs on a Sony system. It just feels very strange to even take into consideration the idea of playing it on Nintendo Switch. But the fact that the Crash Bandicoot games are on Nintendo Switch is amazing. And I hope people who, don't have the option of getting a PlayStation 4 version. Admittedly, I'm not a fan of the controller of the PS4 myself, so I perfectly understand getting the Switch version over it. Or Xbox One. It's coming out onto Switch, Xbox One, and Steam now. Multi-platform. But, I can perfectly understand getting on the Switch, and I hope you enjoy it. And it looks pretty amazing. It looks pretty good, in comparison to its PS4 version counterparts and all that. So, yeah. Amazing to see Crash Bandicoot on a Nintendo system. Mario's worst nightmare has popped up on his own platform. It happens a lot with Nintendo, really. Sega was competing against Mario, now he's often popping up on the platform and stuff like that. Huh. So number 5 then, the sort of 5th thing that interested me the most regarding what was shown off in the Nintendo Direct was Splatoon 2's Octo expansion. Now, it is kind of annoying that it's a paid content thing. I think the American said it was like $20. I think it'll be slightly cheaper in the UK. Probably the same when you take into account price conversion. It looks really expansive for an expansion. It's not just DLC, it is an expansion. Like 80 levels, I believe they mentioned. 80 level campaign. That is massive. The Octo expansion finally gives what fans have been wanting for a long time, the ability to play as Octolings. But they don't just give it to you. You have to play an entire story campaign to unlock the ability to play as Octolings as you play through the story as Agent 8. It's also really cool that Agent 8 sort of story mode, you see a bunch of the characters. You see Marina and Pearl, some new characters pop up. You also see Captain Cuttlefish and Agent 3. Now, that's interesting, having your protagonist pop up from the old games in it. I'm kind of curious how they plan to work that. You know, do you like have some sort of porting system from the Wii U? Do you get to make the sort of character so they're unique, or is it randomly generated? Are they going to have dialogue in any way, or is it all dot 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 dot? But yeah, it's a really cool bunch of new gears sort of coming out for it, and you know, whilst it's a shame to see that Splatoon 2 is going the paid route for some of its DLC now, it is I feel in this case, given the amount of content, it is one that makes a lot of sense. Whether I'll get this or not depends. That's an issue for a future tea time regarding my online gaming experiences. But if I do decide to stick with Nintendo Switch for my online platform, I may consider getting it, depending on how much I end up playing of Splatoon 2. When it comes to games I've been playing on the Switch, it's mostly just been focusing on Pokken tournaments, so... Okay, so yeah, Splatoon 2 Octo expansion looks really cool, looks really awesome, and it's giving fans a lot of what they want, so yeah, looking forward to that. Even if I don't even end up getting it, it'll be just nice to see. So then, number 4 then, is a game series which I feel just doesn't get enough love, and I'm glad to see that it got shown off. It was shown off in the Japanese Direct last time, but now it's finally getting shown off in the UK and American. So I guess that's one thing to quickly bring up. I obviously watched the UK version of the Direct. There may be slight differences between the Japanese and the American versions of the Directs, but maybe I'll include a link to Nintendo UK's showcasing the Nintendo Direct down in the summary below. In the case, my 4 favourite sort of games shown off at the March Nintendo Direct of 2018 was Dylan's Dead Heat Breakers. I don't know why I keep going to say Red Heat Breakers, but no, it's Dylan's Dead Heat Breakers, the 3rd game in the Dylan Rolling Western series. Dylan series is such an underrated series. It is fantastic. I question at times from my experience with Dylan's Rolling Western 1 whether it was best suited for playing on the 3DS rather than the Wii U. Again, something else that might be worth talking about in a tea time, because they're very lengthy levels, but they are lengthy and they're levels that require a lot of thought and a lot of thinking going into it, which you wouldn't think at first, but it is a tower defense game. There is a bit of real-time tower defense to that, so there's a lot of pressure to it and a lot of thinking of where to go, harvesting the materials you need, or focusing on destroying the groks. You can even start harvesting some of the materials whilst the groks, the enemy sort of forces, are attacking, sort of thing. And it's a nice stylized world, a whole Western theme. It's interesting that Dead Heat Breakers, whilst keeping with the Western theme, is going with a more city-like structure and all, but you can still see the Western motif to it all, along with a bit of an apocalyptic theme to it. It's really interesting. Like, from what I hear, the Dylan's Rolling Western 1 and 2 felt a bit too much of the same, like Dylan's Rolling Western 2, just basically an improved version with 1 or 2 different kinds of missions. But Dead Heat Breakers looks to spice up the formula an awful lot, and not just because you can turn your me and your friends into furries now. Though that is a pretty novel idea, I guess. I still need to actually play through more of Dylan's Rolling Western 1 and 2, which I am interested in getting around to playing some more of. But as I said, they're very time-consuming because the levels are pretty long in Dylan's Rolling Western 1. But I'll definitely try out the demo, and I hope that more people get invested in Dylan's series, because Dylan just feels like a character that was just designed for Smash Bros. He feels like he belongs to be there. He's awesome in everything. And I feel, this was one of the sort of games which made me think, wow, I actually really like tower defense games. There's a lot of unique ideas with it, and Nintendo are generally really creative with the ideas in terms of using tower defense game. See also Star Fox Guard. Speaking of Smash Bros. Though, I guess that brings me on to the all-important 3rd point, the sort of big game that really had everyone excited. And the only reason it isn't higher up on my list is personal taste of 2 more games which interested me more. But really, it's one that deserves to be known by all, deserves to be talked about, and I'm sure everyone is excited as I am for it. Sushi Strikers, The Way of Sushido, is getting a Nintendo Switch port, which is interesting. I mean, I love that because those animated cutscenes look gorgeous, and it's amazing that we'll get a nice fully voice-acted animated storytelling sequence to take us through the story of how sushi was forbidden after the Great Sushi Wars, caused much death and destruction, and now your protagonist wants to rediscover sushi so that they can give sushi out to the world and share it with everyone. And then there's the Sushi Liberation Army resurrected and an evil sushi emperor. And this game makes no sense and I love it! It is so charming design, so full of personality, and I just love the concept of it. The gameplay also looks a lot of fun. Simple but fun. You know, it looks to be, you match up the right sort of sushi from out. And then there's the Sushi Spirit concept, which is, again, okay, let's see, you've already got a game of sushi, you decided to add Pokemon to it, but, yeah, the Sushi Spirits, really interesting, leveling them up and all that, and getting new powers and such. I'm wondering what each of their sort of abilities are and such. But, yeah, the upgrades to the visuals and such, going from 3DS to Switch, are amazing. Looks gorgeous. I'm unsure if I want to get on the Switch though, on the basis that I'm not sure how it controls. Like the 3DS version is designed much like a mobile game with a touchscreen focus in mind. However, whilst I'd love to do Sushi Strikers with the motion controls, because I think that would work really well, I would not even consider it if it was a touchscreen only game. Because I am not putting my finger to the Switch's touchscreen. The fact that the Switch has a touchscreen was, in my opinion, a horrible idea. It attracts dust at every second and smudges and scratches so easily. It's unfortunately the weakest screen I feel Nintendo has ever made. They really shouldn't have made it touchscreen and made it a better sort of surface, more resistant to smudges and such. Like the Wii U was pretty durable, but after like 2 years of using it, dear gosh, you can see everywhere I've typed with Miiverse with it. But yeah, Sushi Strikers, Way of Sushido, is getting a Nintendo Switch port, and that is fantastic, and I'm glad that more people are starting to pay attention to it. I think people kind of ignored it at E3, but I feel more people are properly talking about it now. So yeah, that is a game I'm definitely looking forward to. I'm just not sure which system to get it for yet, 3DS or Switch. More info that comes out will be my decision maker there. Okay then, number 2 is a game I didn't think would be coming out this year. It is Project Octopath Traveler. Wait, I'm wrong. Octopath Traveler. They finally ditched the project name and decided, Octopath Traveler, that's a good enough name. Yeah, Octopath Traveler was shown off, and it's coming out like, I think, May or June? I've got some information here, but let me just quickly bring that up. Launching on Nintendo Switch on 13th of July. I didn't expect it to come out this year at all. It seems although with its pixel sort of graphics and all, SNES style pixel graphics for the characters and such. So the backgrounds are just gorgeously sort of painted look, sort of visual to them. I just didn't expect it to be this year, but the fact that it's not even in the winter times, it's coming out in summer. Oh gosh, like so many of the games I'm looking forward to are coming out far sooner than I was expecting. I'm not going to have any free time this first half of the year. Yeah, Octopath Traveler got shown off. They showed off two new characters. Tressa the Merchant, who I'm sure Kyrus is going to love to bits because she can use her merchant powers to get new and unique items from people. And Alfin, the Medicine Man. Really neat to see 2 more of the sort of characters get shown off. And even neat to see that you can combine the classes to make unique combinations, which is for techniques and such, which is awesome to hear. And they, of course, also announced a special edition, which I am so going to get if I can. Has itself a little diorama sort of box with each of the characters, which is great to see. Art book, of course, that's per standard, as well as a soundtrack CD, per standard. A map, typical. Maybe I can put it up with the Wind Waker map I've got here, up on the game room wall. That was actually kind of helpful playing my Wind Waker with a map visible, even if it's not the most detailed one. It gave me a rough idea of where I was going. And a little gold coin in the done in the currency of Octopath Traveler, which is really awesome. Yeah, Octopath Traveler's demo blew me away. It was one of the best things of last year in terms of gaming, and I'm ecstatic about the fact that this game is coming out this year. Really looking forward to it, and I'm so glad to see it pop up in the Nintendo Direct. And that's pretty much what to say, really. People complained about the presentation-wise, it wasn't that exciting of a presentation, but hey, they showed off 2 new characters and class combinations, as well as the special edition, so that was enough to get me excited. So then, as I said, I'm going to talk about the tea I tried out, which was an apple and elderflower tea. It was a Twinnings variation. I'm quite fond of Twinnings teas. Pucker, I think, is my favourite overall brand for teas, but Twinnings does pretty nice ones as well. My first try of it, too hot really, but the taste was already beginning to linger at that point. It was too hot to get any initial taste, but I still got the taste at the end. Apple takes some taste of the elderflower, takes away some of the taste of the elderflower, but the initial taste is still very sharp. You can definitely taste the elderflower on the get-go. However, the lingering apple taste is fantastic, and that's what dominates your mouth at the end of it. Top of mouth gets full of flavour. The flavour just seems to hit the top of the mouth for some reason. I guess it's the variety of it. It's definitely a green apple tea, by the way. You can definitely tell the difference between when green apple and red apple are used. And this is definitely green apple with the elderflower, Twinnings elderflower. There might be variations from other companies of apple and elderflower, but they use red apple instead, or yellow apple, different varieties. But it's definitely a green apple that was used for the apple and elderflower. Nice. It's easy to taste when cooler, definitely. It's definitely one I prefer cooler, as it allows the flavour to flow around the mouth more, because if it's hot, you end up sipping it too quickly. You should have a nice slow sip with this one, in my opinion, and the taste just kind of washes through your mouth and has this lovely lingering taste afterwards. Not actually a fan of the initial sip, but if you sip slowly, it changes a better more. Better more, not even a proper term there. I hope you get what I mean. But that was the apple and elderflower tea that I had whilst out. Really nice. And here's just my regular English breakfast. I'm going to quickly sip. As I said, I still kind of have the ulcer, so it's kind of stinging a little bit after all this talking. Anyway, and then we have number one, my favourite thing shown off in this Nintendo Direct. And it was kind of, my reaction to it made me wish that I'd actually been recording this, my reaction to the Nintendo Direct. Because, of course, my favourite thing was Kirby Star Allies, particularly the Dream Allies function. Seeing King Dedede Meta Knight and Bandana D playable again was fantastic. King Dedede, I could definitely see straight away, King Dedede has a unique belly flop move as he's running. So King Dedede is not just a copy of Hammer, he does have slight differences, and of course he is slightly bigger, stuff like that. You got Meta Knight with his wings and such, and slight differences, and with Bandana D, well, he's still got his classic spear, but we haven't seen spear at all in this game, not once. Could be that spear is completely too unique to Bandana D. And these characters will be available once you've completed certain worlds in Kirby Star Allies. Of course, the biggest thing was the free DLC they're going to be doing with the game, adding new Dream Allies. I screamed with joy at seeing Riku Kine as a freeway tag team, as a playable character, switching between their various sort of powers they had in Kirby Dream Land 2 and 3. And then they had Marx! And I just screamed! I mean, not as badly as Marx screams when Marx dies and shatters your eardrums, but oh my gosh, I didn't think we'd see Marx return, let alone Marx be playable. That is insane. Marx tried to kill the entire of Popstar by having Nova crash into it. The heck, it makes no sense that Marx is playable, but it's amazing that he is, and I love that he is, and I hope that when he dies he just screams and everyone just there has to be a warning. No headphones whilst playing as Marx. And of course, afterwards they showed off GUI, which is pretty damn cool. GUI is the good embodiment of dark matter, the most minute trace of goodness dark matter has, and was your sort of ally in Kirby Dream Land 3. It's pretty cool to see him back. I'm curious as to what his powers are going to be. From the looks of it, his tongue wasn't eating people, so it doesn't look like he has his absorption powers. Though he looks like a variation of Whip in terms of style, but with a bunch of unique things, such as his flying animation and such. It'll be interesting. I look forward to seeing what GUI can do. It's amazing that it's all free, and oh gosh, Kirby Star just keeps coming across as better and better and better. I am so excited for this game, and thankfully, the building site will be finished by the time it releases on Friday, which means I get all the time to play it! Anyway, that's my thoughts on the Nintendo Direct. Just my favourite thing shown off. If I had spare time, I was going to just talk about some of the other games shown off, but I don't really have that much time left, really. Feel free to check out the little Tumblr post. I'll include it below, because I go over a bunch of the other games as well. But those are my top 6 favourite things from the March 2018 Nintendo Direct, and I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to share your thoughts below, and cheerio!